All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jennifer and Jake Pod Show podcast
Happy talk hour
show.
thing.
We've been away for a while, so if anybody is still out there, hi. Thanks for being out there. We decided that it's our podcast and we're going to do whatever we want. And so, we're going to, among other things, watch anime episodes and talk about them. So today's show is actually about an anime that I actually started watching before he did, for once. Although maybe technically not. But anyway.
I started a different series in the same series?
Yeah, it's Fate Stay Night. So it's the Fate Grand Order verse. But it's Fate Stay Night, which I believe in order of publication is the first one. And in chronological order is not necessarily the first one. But
I haven't looked it up, but
from what I read, it's the one that's like the easiest to get into the Fate Grand Order world. So, we started there. So today we watched Fate Stay Night, episode 0 prologue.
The 45-minute double episode.
It was 45 minutes?
Yeah.
No wonder. It seemed like it went on forever,
which...
Go ahead.
There were a couple of points where I'm like, this is
done,
where the credits
right?
are going to roll.
It's done.
This is where
yeah.
Okay, it must be one of those 45-minute prologue episodes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, okay, I never paid attention to that, but yeah, okay, that makes sense now. Because if you're an anime watcher, you know that most anime episodes are like 22,
23 minutes long.
Minutes long. Yeah, so I apologize, I have something in my eye.
The first time I ever saw that, I was watching, it was an anime called Alice to Zoroku. And when it did a 45-minute first episode, I was like, what? Huh? Is this going to be a 45-minute? Because they never do that. It was just the first episode. It's probably just like this.
All right, so... Oh gosh, we're off to a rollicking good start.
It was 45 minutes. It was too long. We watched 2 episodes.
It's too long, you guys.
Too long.
Way too long. So, okay. In all fairness, I actually have watched this before he did. So I rewatched the episode today with him so that we could do an episode by episode show.
It's my first time watching.
His first time, my second time. Yeah, you watched what? Fate
Zero.
I
started watching Fate Zero.
Which I believe is chronologically supposed to be the first one.
Yeah.
It's the 10-year prequel or whatever. But yeah. So.
I still know nothing about it.
Yeah. So, I'm going to say it right off the bat. I'm just going to put it out there right now. I was waiting for sex. Okay? I was waiting for the sex.
You don't get that in these types of anime. You can't get that here. No. You gotta go for special sites for that.
Because, okay, look. Archer is hot. Okay? Archer is hot. And so, Rin goes through the whole shmagegi and she calls up Archer, and I'm just looking at this dude sitting on her couch with all of his rippling muscles and his cocky little attitude, and I'm like, when are they gonna fuck?
Never. Won't happen.
And I understand she's a high school student, but I had to look this up to make sure I wasn't being a super creeper. She's supposed to be 17. So that is age of consent in America, anyway.
She's a spinster in Japan.
Exactly.
She'd already have 12 kids.
Well, right. I expected her to be 14, which was why I was like, okay, I better be careful with these sex thoughts.
She was 14,
but she's supposed to be 17.
Ds.
Yeah.
They get smaller as they grow.
Oh my god.
That's on a different site.
There was no... Okay, so that brings up another point, actually, that there was like... And I don't know if this is the right word for this, but there was like I didn't think there was any fan service
No, God, no.
in this in this episode anyway. I don't know about the series, but in this particular episode, I didn't think there was any fan service. She didn't have gigantic, out to here. The only thing I thought was mildly inappropriate, not really, but
Exactly.
I thought it was interesting that when she's got her little red coat on, her skirt goes down to her knees. But as soon as she takes that red coat off, her skirt goes up 14 inches. What's the deal with that?
It's for the Absolute Territory fans. The distance between the skirt and the top of the stockings.
Oh my gosh.
That's a huge thing.
Seriously?
That's a fetish. Yeah. Is the
Okay,
distance.
so I can't get Rin and Archer to have sex, but they're gonna play to some creepy fetish about stockings and skirt lengths?
Japan, bro.
Hemming skirts?
Japan, brah. Yeah. They'll never kiss. Holding hands is lewd. God forbid they kiss. But yeah, sure. 17-year-old girl's skirt hemline. Oh boy. The only thing that I would say is fan servicey in this outside of that is she did a little bounce when her back was to the camera, and it was the skirt floof butt bounce sort of. But other than that, yeah, it's not fan servicey.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. As a real life woman, if you wear a skirt that's super short like that, you're gonna flounce it. That's the point.
Yeah, it wasn't fan servicey. It's definitely an action anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked to. So at the beginning of the episode, I suppose we should do a little synopsis for anybody who hasn't actually watched this.
No, go watch it.
And I realized that I'm probably like way behind. This has probably been out forever, and
It is.
But welcome to my life.
I think it's 10 years old or something.
Yeah, it sounds about right. For when I get into things, it's about 10 years
The art
past their
style
prime.
looks about 10 years old.
But the gist of this episode, what I got from watching it is the gist of this episode is we're introducing you to the world and the way magic works. We're introducing some main characters, and we're introducing, the master servant thing, which again left me thinking about sex. I'm sorry.
Are you my master?
It's so creepy to me that you're gonna call. Master, really?
I'm gonna say that I think again we are confusing. I could be wrong depending on what they're pulling from, but
Sure.
I think we're confusing Western values with Asian values.
Sure.
Master servant is more of I'm the household leader,
Yeah.
and you are just somebody that works for me,
Yeah.
or you are you're beneath me,
Mhm.
not in a Western actual slavery sense.
Yeah, okay, and
I'm the boss. You're an underling. You're an employee.
it's very difficult for me to like. If it's not a sexual fetish thing with master servant, I really don't like the word master. I'm sorry. I'm not calling anybody master.
Unless it's a sexual thing. That's what you just said. That's what you just said.
But I just said I'm not calling anybody master, so even if it was a sexual thing.
You'd be the master.
Anyway,
I think it's a cultural
I think you're right. Yeah.
It's more of this is the way it's been translated, but it doesn't have the connotations that we would put towards it in the West.
Yeah.
And it's servant. You work for me, master. I am telling you what to do.
Yeah, my boss is not my master. But I get it. I know what you're saying.
I didn't get far enough in to listen to the honorifics about what they called each other, because that would have given.
Well, they used the word master. They used the English word master. They didn't use.
Oh, they didn't use any honor.
They used the English word master. And when when Archer says, okay, what am I supposed to call you? What's your name? She says Tosaka Rin, and he says, okay, and she says, call me whatever you want. And he says, okay, I'll call you Rin, which from my understanding is familiar.
Yeah, very. And I think she had
she blushed.
Oh, she blushed.
She blushed.
He called her by her first name.
He said it suited her.
That means I thought she choked on her throat.
She did. No, yeah, she spit out she did a spit take.
Choked on her spit.
She spit out her tea.
Oh, she did. Okay.
She spit out her tea. That's right.
Yeah. God forbid you use her first name.
Yeah.
It's too familiar.
Yeah.
Soon they're going to be holding hands.
But we're going to be master servant, which apparently isn't too familiar.
Yeah, hell that.
And you're going to be wandering freely throughout my house while I sleep and have no parents or adult supervision anywhere at all.
Invisible.
We know her father is dead. Yeah, invisible.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of shower watching was going on there?
Archer's gay.
Yeah, he's actually so hot that he probably is gay.
I don't know.
The super hot ones always are. No, but
No, I saw what you I saw what you meant, and it's unfortunate because that would be where a nice little dash of Western values or lack thereof would be great in a show like this, because that's the biggest problem I have with most anime, and it's just a cultural thing. It's not a problem with the anime. It's just Western.
Yeah.
So I'm used to there being that sexual tension and having it resolved at some point.
Right.
But in anime, it never happens.
And the thing is, honestly, I don't think there's actually any sexual tension there.
Oh no, she's using him. He is a employee.
Yeah, and he's not even an employee. He's a familiar. She used that word, familiar. He's her familiar.
Mm-hmm. He's a magical creature that was summoned to do her bidding.
Yeah,
he just happens to look like
hot.
A hot archer man with no bow.
Yet. Okay, so I have a theory about that.
Okay.
Now, granted, I am a couple of episodes ahead of you, but I have a theory about that. So when she summons him, I mean, this is not how you, by the way, I'm sorry, but if you're my boss and you talk to me this way, I quit. Because she summons him, she wants Saber, right? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there are these magic users, these mages in this world, and some of them humans, and some of them will enter into this war called the Holy Grail War, which basically they are fighting for the actual Holy Grail of King Arthur's time. And there are 7 servant classes: archer, caster, spear person, lancer, saber, berserker. Did I say caster? I said caster.
Said caster. And 2 others.
And so when she is assassin, yep. When she is summoning, he's gonna Google it. When she is summoning her servant, there are 2 servants left that haven't been summoned by masters. So there are 2 masters left with 2 servants. And so she's hoping no one else has summoned Saber yet. And Ryder. That's right. Ryder. That's sexy. More. Well, no, not. Okay, sorry. And I don't know if Ryder is in this one or not.
I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, there's 7.
Ruler too.
I don't know. There's 7
classes.
Stop. See? Yeah.
I'm not cheating.
So.
I'm Googling it. Stop Googling it.
Anyway. So Saber hasn't been pulled out of the ether yet by any of the other mages so far that have registered for the Holy Grail War. And so, which is a fight to the death, but we'll get to that later.
8 million seasons and it's a fight to the death.
So, anyway, she does her summoning circle, she does all her stuff, and she winds up with Archer when she wanted Saber. And so she basically says to Archer, well, I was really hoping for Saber, but I'm stuck with you. And he's like, gee, I'm real sorry that I'm not Saber. And she's like, that's okay. It's not your fault. It's my fault.
It's my fault I summoned a subpar summon.
It's my fault that you suck.
Excuse me, I'm still in the room? Hello?
So my theory about why we haven't seen Archer's bow yet in this prologue is because, so we get to this point where she's having this showdown. So she takes Archer to the, so she decides to go to school. She's gonna go to class. She skipped a day. She's gonna go to class.
She skipped a day to show him around
the
area.
So she went to school and then summoned Archer that night, skipped the day to show Archer around the city, and now she's going to school the next day. And Archer's already bitching at her about, it's probably not a good idea for you to be going to school. You could be attacked. Don't you think this is a bad idea? And she's like, no, it's fine. We don't fight in front of regular people, so it's fine. It'll be fine. I'm fine.
Nobody will attack me here. It's a public place.
I'm a 17-year-old girl with 0 battle experience, and you are a warrior heroic spirit servant. I clearly know better than you. Mm-hmm. It's fine. So she goes to school and discovers that someone put some sort of shield or, magical barrier, as they were calling it, around the school. And so she and Archer go back that night to examine this barrier that she's discovered. And it seems that this barrier is meant to kill everyone inside it.
And siphon their souls. Into a servant.
And so she's like, oh my God, are you serious? And Archer's like, oh yeah, servants do this kind of shit. Masters do this shit all the time, baby.
It's the way to make your servant more powerful.
It's the way servants are more powerful, especially if you have a master who doesn't have enough mana to satisfy you. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, sexual references are everywhere.
Nobody's getting... Well, he even said, I'm plenty satisfied, and I'd never do such a thing.
Yeah, well, so earlier in the show, he says, yeah, no, you've got plenty of mana. I'm good. I'm satisfied. I'm more than satisfied with your mana.
Uh-huh, with your mana. Again,
Rin is not so bad looking herself, so
she's two very cute.
Really should have sex.
She's very adorable. And she has some very good facial animations.
And she's kind of a badass.
Uh-huh.
We've only seen a little bit of her badassness.
She's very take no shit.
But she's very take no shit, and she's very confident in herself. And that creepy dude that we'll see again later.
Of course we will.
That creepy dude. There's a creepy dude who's a fellow student at the school, and he's on the archery team. He's the captain of the archery team.
He's the captain of the archery team?
Uh-huh. She said assistant. That's why she mumbled under her breath. Assistant is more like it.
Because the other girl was doing more work
because the girl was doing... Yeah. So...
Okay.
Anyway, he gets all slimy and creepy on her and is basically really hitting on her hard. And she just turns and she goes, stay away from me.
Never gonna happen.
Really. Honestly, it was literally the stay the fuck away from me speech. She was like, stay away from me. Not interested. And of course, his tiny little penis was so threatened that he freaked out in a super dramatic fashion, and she was like, you can be embarrassed all you want by this, but you might want to pull it back a little.
He got the crazy murder eyes going, too.
You might want to pull it back a little, while 2 little girls off in the corner were like, tee-hee, Rin told him off, tee-hee. So I really hope he gets killed.
No, it'll be the 2. He'll be some major villain, killed. And the little 2 girls will die in something, and it'll be like, okay, you're nameless NPCs, but you were my bestest friends, and now I have to avenge you.
If he's powerful enough to be a mage, there's a problem. Because he's a worthless scumbag. Anyway. So, we got sidetracked. She goes to the school to figure out what the fuck's going on, and... as she's about to take this barrier down, Lancer shows up. No master, just Lancer.
A servant.
And he's like, hey, don't take the barrier down. And she's like, are you the one who put this barrier up? And he's like, no. He's like, I just fight. Mages do backstabbing, dirty shit is basically what he said. Like, wow, really? Kind of bad talking your own master that way, but whatevs. And so he starts to attack Rin. She does some magic stuff, jumps off a roof. Archer catches her. I'm telling
she tells him to.
I'm telling you, there needs to be sex. Well, this is true.
You take care of the landing.
This is true. She says, you take care of the landing, and he catches
throws
her.
herself off a roof so he can catch her.
Well, quite frankly, she probably didn't need him to take care of the landing. She probably could have landed herself with the magic that she's shown so far. But he catches her, and it's all sweet and cute because he's cradling her, and I'm just eating this all up. And, but then instead of helping her any further, he throws her on the ground, and she runs.
Well, he's got to fight Lancer.
But anyway, so Lancer eventually catches up to her, and Archer pops up and puts himself in between Rin and Lancer, and he kind of stands there, and Lancer's talking shit, smack talk, like, oh, you're just a bowman. I'll wait for you to get your bow out, bowman.
You can blow me to death, bowman.
Archer's just standing there like, whatevs. And Rin's like, what the fuck you waiting for? I'm not going to help you. Show me what you've got. And Rin kind of smirks. And, I mean, that kind of shit turns me on, too.
Yeah, well, he kind of smirks back, and it's that mutual smirkage.
That's what I meant. Archer kind of smirks, and I'm like, fuck yes.
I'll show you what I got.
Throw down. And so, here's where my theory comes in. He didn't pull out his bow because she was disappointed that she didn't get Saber.
I think he
did. And so he's like, I'll show you what I can do with my swords.
Yeah.
Bitch.
I think something different.
Okay.
I think, and we didn't touch on this, but so she wanted to summon Saber, but she got the summoning wrong. Mm-hmm. She was early by an hour. Okay, but we still don't know if she actually got the summoning wrong, because we'll talk about this in a later episode, but there's a reason that. So each of these servants are a reincarnation, I use that term loosely, of a heroic spirit. So they're the embodiment of an ideal. Not quite an ideal. They are an embodiment of a person in mythology or folklore or history. So this Lancer, I'll spoil this because I know who this guy is. Okay, I'm going to spoil this. The Lancer in this episode is Cuchulainn. Oh, okay. From Ireland, I believe. Okay. So, and Archer, right off the bat, is like, I know who you are. And he ticks off all these things that Lancer is doing, or these special, abilities, his quickness and his agility and all of this stuff. And he's like, I know who you are. And Lancer's like, well, who are you? And so, no, go ahead, sorry. Which we don't know who Archer is. Archer doesn't know who he is because of the summoning. He claims because of the summoning he doesn't know who he is. However, I have a theory on that, and we'll talk about that after a later episode about why he doesn't know who he is. Okay, that gets around to... I only think he didn't summon his bow because he doesn't know who he is. No. Okay. And I know that you're wrong because I've seen the next episode. Cheater. So he does use his bow. I can't look at my phone and Google, but I watched them. Hey, I didn't watch ahead. I had already been watching before we decided to do this. It's still cheating. Fuck off. All right. Okay. So I'm wrong. So it's not a bad theory though, because okay. So he uses his swords to fight off Lancer. He's got two short swords. Two very... dual wields these short swords. And actually... They're like scimitar type swords. They are. Swords. And I'll hold what I was going to say because it's from another episode. Which is weird because they have... They're very Falchion looking to me. Yes, but they're like Falchions. The hell is that called? With the black and the white and the circles in the circle. Oh, like a honeycomb pattern. I noticed that too. No, the one has the honeycomb. One's black. One's black with a red hexagon pattern. The other's white. But on the hilt they have. The hell is that called? The circles? The circles, but the circles that have the. I don't know. Yeah, talking. You go ahead. So,
I forgot where we were.
Archer and
So,
Lancer are fighting.
They fight in this schoolyard, which, quite frankly, they're making a lot of noise and they're smashing a lot of shit at night. So I really don't understand why no one noticed.
Yin-yang.
Then, did they actually have a yin yang
They didn't
symbol?
have the 2 dots, but that's what it was.
Huh. Okay.
Which is like, okay.
So it's not yin yang, but it's that symbol, but without the dots.
Yes.
So it doesn't have that meaning.
Okay.
Anyway, turns out there's a student there at the school, and he sees them fighting. Oopsie. So, he runs, because what the fuck else do you do when you see 2 crazy people, like, shooting light from their weapons and shit? You run. We're distracted by the cat, just FYI.
Hold on. He can't get down. I'm going to go rescue my
He's
cat.
fine. He can get down.
All
Let him
right.
figure it
He'll
out.
figure it out. It's going to come. Yep, there he goes. All the way down. Cat.
His name is Solaire. Praise the sun!
There's the sun.
Okay, so anyway, Lancer goes after the student because mage law is that you can't have
No witnesses.
witnesses. And so Rin goes after him to try to stop him, but of course she's too late, and this student is laying there bleeding out on the floor, and she goes up to him and she's, oh my God, why did it have to be you? Why do you have to be here of all times, of all
she's
days?
really shocked by who this which is weird.
And she's very, very emotionally touched by this, which
is odd.
is odd for her character because throughout the entire episode so far, she really hasn't given a shit about anybody, and she really isn't all that emotional other than losing her temper.
She hasn't been rude other than to the one guy who was being an asshole.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I
been
thought she
very-
was kind of rude to Archer, but...
Well,
what
yeah,
do
but
I
he's
know?
a servant. But
Yeah.
I'm talking about the other actual people. She's just sort of a, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I'm here.
She's, as you stated while we were watching, she's kind of a queen bee, but she doesn't really have a group. She doesn't hang out with people, but she's a popular girl.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody likes her and wants to be her friend and spend time with her, but she doesn't give a shit about anybody.
Mm-mm.
But she's not rude about it.
No.
She's not a mean girl.
And they still want to be friends with her.
Yeah.
So they're not ostracizing her yet because,
Yeah.
she's XYZ.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So, they kill this kid. She decides that she's got some magical way of saving this kid, and they don't show us anything other than this pendant of hers that she found amongst her dead father's belongings that has the ability to affect time. Hi, Solaire. And so, this is Solaire.
Hi, Solaire.
And so, she figures out this way to save this kid, and, then later on, she tells Archer to go follow Lancer because we need to figure out who his master is, or this whole thing was for nothing. And so, she ends up back at home after she saves this kid's life. We don't know what happens to the kid, just that she saved his life. And Archer shows up and he says, gosh, sorry, I
Couldn't find him.
Couldn't find the dude. This master is really, really careful.
Really hard to find.
And she says, hey, what happens if that master finds out that the dude Lancer was supposed to kill that was the witness is still alive? And Archer's like, well, we'll probably send Lancer back there to kill him. And she's like, well, crap, we should probably go back there.
So we didn't waste all this thing that we just used.
Why wouldn't that have occurred to you to begin with?
Because she's a 17-year-old high school girl.
Yeah.
With a tremendous amount of magical power, apparently.
Yeah.
Because that always works well in every episode of anything that has that trope.
So, they go back to this kid's house, and as they get there, Archer's like, hey, wait a second, I sense 2 servants. And the end of the episode, we see Saber. So
But we don't know that because they didn't announce. They did say it was Saber.
Yeah,
didn't
they did.
Okay.
We see Saber. And what I find interesting that I'm going to point out right away is Saber's sword is invisible. She's got her sword out. She's got her hands out, like she's got a two-handed sword in them, but you can't see anything but just sort of mystical,
like magical wind energy.
Magical glitter juice.
Around magical glitter juice. That's a different anime.
Magical glitter juice.
Can't watch that.
So, but again, with this whole heroic spirit thing, they don't want each other to know who they are. Because if you know that he's Ku Kulane, for example, which Archer says, I know who you are.
You know how to fight him.
You know how to fight them, and you historically know their weaknesses. So, for example, if your heroic spirit, when you... Excuse me, this water's giving me the burps. If you call your servant, and your servant is... I don't know what his class would be, but let's say his heroic spirit is Achilles.
Yeah, well, you know how to kill him. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I don't even know if that's a heroic spirit in this, but it's a good example.
I mean, everybody knows that Achilles' heel is his weakness.
Probably why he's not one, because everybody knows.
So,
how do you kill Achilles? Oh, his heel. Shit.
Poke him in the heel. So that's why they don't want to share who they are. Some servants will absolutely share with their masters who they are, and other servants won't. Again, sorry, this is knowledge. Actually, I was playing the game. There's a mobile game, and I was playing the game. And some servants don't want to share their heroic spirit because if they tell their master and their master's not a good enough mage, other mages could potentially read their minds and find out who they are. That's according to the game.
So it's all just power plays and being safe and defenses.
Yeah. And it's a battle to the death. Did I mention that earlier? I know I did. It's a battle to the death.
It's a battle to the death that we don't know much about.
And we have a 17-year-old in it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's at least one child who's going to be murdered or do the murdering.
Mm-hmm. Which you also already told me that there is somebody younger than her in this.
Mm-hmm.
So there's at least two children.
Mm-hmm.
If not all children.
I was going to save that for later, but yeah.
Well, you know, it's anime. Once you hit 20 or 24, you're used up.
Yeah.
So adults can't have any fun. You have to be the high school student to save the world and or destroy it.
And have no parents. And no parental supervision.
Under any circumstances.
That's a whole thing for me. I'm sorry. But, like, seriously, her father's dead. We don't know what happened to her mother at this point.
They're away in business.
She lives in this giant, like this really well-to-do looking mansion.
With no servants.
All by herself.
Like actual employee servants.
No other humans are in this house that we have seen so far.
Number one go-to. Oh, they're away on business. For where? How? Overseas for interminable amounts of time.
Yeah. And I'm left to raise myself.
Sure. Japan. Apparently it's fairly common.
Seriously? Interesting.
It's a fairly common trope.
So what was... Never mind. So what's potentially child abuse in this country is just the way kids are raised in others.
Hey, 13 is the age of consent
in anime. Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Mm-hmm. Culture.
So, anyway. That's where we're at with Fate Stay Night.
That's the synopsis. What did you think? Other than have sex.
I mean, have sex was basically all I was thinking.
I thought it was basically all I was thinking. I don't I don't know enough about this particular series because I said I watched Fate Zero.
Yeah.
I was about I think 6 episodes into Fate Zero. so I'm not going to pull that information to this.
Yeah.
But it seems to be, okay, we have mages, we have servants, and they fight for, the Grail. They fight for the Holy Grail, which gives them a chance to make a wish.
Yeah, the Holy Grail will grant you a wish.
Any wish.
Any wish
Just
you want.
one.
And you get one.
But it can be any wish, no strings attached, just...
Well, we don't know whether or not there are strings attached.
We don't know that. But it can be a mega wish, like, I want to rule the world.
Yes.
Okay. And so all we know is that they're fighting for this Grail.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah.
It's good.
That's pretty much
I like
it.
the art style.
I do too. I really enjoy the art style. Obviously.
It's different. It's not the same as...
Because Archer's hot.
I don't know the studio that did it. I'll have to look and have that information. But it's a good art style. I like the facial animations. And I like the characters so far.
Yep.
So it'll be really interesting to see what they do with other episodes.
Yeah, the characters all seem really likable, relatable. Even, and I'm talking main characters, obviously not Perv, who was trying to hit on Rin.
I liked the bow girl. I liked her as soon as
Sakura?
she showed up. No, she's the purple-haired girl.
Yeah.
I liked the who I thought was the short red.
Yeah, I don't think they gave her name actually, or
they did. But
she's a background
character. And
he
of course,
always
of
likes
course she's a
background characters.
character. No, purple-haired girl will be somebody because she's got purple hair. Of course,
she is somebody.
She is. And then,
but she's not she's a background character, but
she's a supporting character.
Yeah, she's a supporting character,
but she's not a faceless background character.
Yeah.
But yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens, and it'll be really interesting to see if this goes the anime route or the I'll actually enjoy this route of, oh, cool, this is a story, or no, all your favorite characters die.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, well, it's a fight to the death.
That doesn't mean anything. It's
so
anime.
Prepare for death.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you know.
But they're pretty girls. They can't die. They're pretty anime girls. Don't they always live?
Okay, but... Except, what about the name that I always screw up, but the Mirai Nikki?
Oh God, what's her name?
Yeah, people die.
Yeah,
Lots
I haven't
of
watched
them.
that one either.
You watched that with me?
No, you watched it alone, and you were like, "I have to watch this."
I'm gonna make him watch this for
watch
this.
Yuno Gasai.
Yeah. If you haven't watched it, what's the name of it?
It's either Future Diary or Mirai Nikki.
It's Future Diary or Mirai Nikki. If you like death, lots of crazy, psychotic death, that's for you. It's real good. And Yandere.
Yeah.
Yandere. She's the original, is my understanding.
I think she might be.
She's the original Yandere. Anyway.
It'll be interesting to see where this goes.
That's a different anime.
It wasn't bad, and it didn't turn me off with the first episode.
Yeah.
And it was definitely, because if I'm going to compare this to the other Fate that I watched, this one gripped me a little bit more, and the story moved a little bit faster.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where this goes.
And this also does a really good job if you've ever been interested in the Fate Grand Order series, but it's looked confusing to you. This Fate Stay Night is a really good explanation. It's a good groundwork for the world and the way it all works. So, highly recommend.
It'll be interesting. I'm not, like I said, not turned off.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of animes where you get in it and you get the first episode in and you're like, eh. Even if you get the whole first episode.
Yeah.
So this, no, pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
All 45 minutes of it.
Yeah, and Archer is hot. He really is. So, all right. Thanks for listening to us prattle on about anime, and
We'll do this again real soon.
Look forward to us prattling on about more Fate Grand Order, Fate Stay Night, and lots of other things, because we're going to do whatever we want. Bye.
Bye.
Solaire says bye.
He's asleep.
See ya.